Awesome.
Yeah.
I'll make
So I'm going to light my smudge and then we can get started.
Yeah.
So last month we discussed Diana. Have you had any symbols or anything come to you with her, or have you been working with her?
I did actually. I gave an offering of carnation flowers to her. So,
Nice.
things are going well. Symbols, I get symbols all the time. So I think she's always been, uh, wonderful that way to me. So yeah, it's good. No complaints. I've always had a picture of her anyway. So
Good.
yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love her. And she is the huntress. So anytime you're on the hunt for something in your life, definitely call upon her. Tonight, we're going to go into her daughter, Aradia, and I'm excited to get more involved with that. So let me see where I should begin. I'm thinking we'll begin with we're going to do an invocation, and I did want you to have a pen and paper, water and salt, because we are going to invoke her that way.
Okay. I don't have any water and salt, but I do have. Okay. I didn't realize. Sorry, that's my fault.
No, that's okay. Um, maybe if you, what about your salt shaker?
Yep. Just give me 2 seconds, okay?
Sure. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Handles lit.
So we're going to, I'm going to get you to snuff your candle out.
Okay.
And you got water and salt.
Yeah.
And we're not going to do this right away, but we are going to invoke and do some consecrating as well. But first, we're just going to get into Aradia. There's a song that I used to chant, and whenever I was angry, let's say, or dealing with pressure, I would crank it in my vehicle with the windows down, and I just drive along the city. And I found her to be quite powerful in my life. She would also manifest rain whenever I needed cleansing. So I worked a lot with Aradia. So I'm really excited to share her with you. So I'm going to talk about her legend first, right? So Aradia is the daughter of Diana, and she actually lived in the 12th century, and she would travel along the countryside, and she had a group of outlaws, and they would teach the witchcraft tradition to the peasants. And she predicted a time in the future that was called the return of the daughter, and it was the return of the old ways. So she was known as a prophecy. She could do prophecy, she could do witchcraft, and Diana would send her to Earth to teach about magic and witchcraft and, how to take care of things. So her prophecy foretold a whole lineage of wise women and their ways. And so all of the wise women were known to be daughters of Diana. So those that practiced witchcraft back then were all known to be daughters of Diana. So Aradia was born in 1313, and it was in Volterra, which is a small town southwest of Florence, so Italian. And she displayed special abilities right away. And her parents wanted her, or were sure that someday she would become a nun, even though Diana um, recognized her as being very magical. They wanted to protect her. So as soon as Aradia was ready to learn, she began to get mentored by her aunt. And Aradia, and this is on Earth, right? Where Diana is in the heavens. So Aradia was initiated secretly at the age of 13. I don't know if you saw The Mists of Avalon, the movie, or read the book, but there's a lot of similarities with The Mists of Avalon, as well as Aradia and Diana. So she was initiated secretly at age 13, and it was very dangerous because at this time the church was strongly opposed of this tradition. So as she was initiated, she began to have experiences which she came to know the voices of plants, the voices of animals, and the voice of Diana within herself. And so she couldn't stay home where her parents continued to urge her to become um, a nun or to practice the magic, right? So she left and she wandered around for days until she found this army of outlaws. And these outlaws were like Robin Hood, like gangs, right? They stole from the rich and they gave back to the poor. And they took her in. So while she was living with them, she learned of the slavery. She learned how the peasants were forced to endure all of these heartless actions by the landowners. So, to help the peasants, Aradia began to travel between villages, offering wise women healing and using her skills that her aunt had taught her, as well as drawing upon the power of nature. So she performed deeds that many called were miracles. And she cared for a lot of people. She had a lot of following, and the peasants loved her. They called her La Bella Pellegrina, which means the beautiful pilgrim. And this is how she started her gospels, right? So Aradia saw how these people, having lost their own traditions, became disempowered, and that they forgot their connection to the plants and the animals and to the power of the earth. So she began to teach the traditions to the peasants. Well, she was soon arrested by the church for heresy and charged with treason. And when the soldiers confronted her, she stood in her power before them and for asked them to answer for the hypocrisy of the church. And while Aradia was in jail waiting to be executed, there was an earthquake, and it destroyed the building that she was being kept in. And the word spread that Aradia had died. But she was seen again in camps and part of the brigade, the outlaw gang. And after that, a group of followers were formed, and she began to teach them all the secrets of witchcraft. And eventually, for her safety, Aradia needed to leave. So she gave her followers 9 scrolls and left to the east, never to be seen again. And on the scrolls were the teachings of the wise women, and those that have been falling down through the ages. So a lot of her work, a lot of her ritual, the Gospel of Riches, Aradia, comes from that, which I think is interesting. Now, I do want to get into a little bit more about her. So she was known, just like Christ was born, right, and the Son of God. Aradia, who is the Gospel of Witches, began with the birth from Diana and Lucifer, as I discussed in the last class. So let's get a little bit more into Aradia. So first, Aradia, the Gospel of Witches, was a book that was published 1899. So it's really not that old. But the book the book claims to reveal the ancient tradition and the teachings of her witchcraft, which is also known as Italian witchcraft. And at the heart is Aradia, and she is a powerful and mysterious figure that is regarded as Queen of Witches. But I want to go into who she is a little bit and what secrets her gospel holds. So Aradia is known to be the daughter of the moon goddess, and the goddess Diana sent her to earth to teach the oppressed the secrets of witchcraft. So Aradia became the symbol of resistance and empowerment for those who were being marginalized by society. And her story intertwines with the elements of ancient Roman religion to Italian folklore, as well as medieval witchcraft. So the text of the Gospel of Witches is a mix of information, knowledge, and poetry, blending ritual instructions, spells, and songs. And one of the most compelling aspects of Aradia's story as her role as a teacher and liberator is that she instructs her followers in the use of magic to protect themselves and to fight against any injustice. So I do have the Aradia book, which I will post on our page. I just got to figure out, because I have it on my old computer, but I think I used it in one of my classes. So if I can get to that, then I can post it and you can have a PDF of it and check it out. It is something that I've read many times and I enjoy it myself. And as far as how we practice the full moon, a lot of how we practice the sacred circle full moon comes from that text. So one of the key teachings attributed to Aradia is the power of the full moon. And in her gospel, the full moon is a time for gathering. It's a time to cast spells and to invoke the goddess Diana. And it's a moment when the veil between the mundane and the magical time or the magical space is the thinnest. So just like Samhain is, the veils are thin, so is the power of the full moon. And because it is the veil between the mundane and the magic, it allows witches to tap into their full potential. So a lot of scholars say that Leland, who wrote the book in 1899, is not authentic, that it's just folklore. But his story is actually quite amazing because he traveled to Italy and met with a woman, Magdalene, and she was a sorceress. And she was the one that taught him about the scrolls. And what's interesting is after he met her and did that trip, she like disappeared. So nobody knows whatever happened to her. Okay. Which every time I say that, I get goosebumps. So people will debate the authenticity of his work, suggesting that, it's a representation of the ancient tradition, but it could be, some of it could not be as authentic as he's claiming. However, the figure of Aradia has inspired many modern witches and neo-pagans and we see her as a powerful symbol for feminist spirituality and witchcraft. So
could she have been Aradia?
No, I believe, well, she could have been actually, but the Italians do hold her dear as Italian, right? But definitely she could have been. So the gospel of her is all about empowerment. It's all about resistance and the reclaiming of our own power. And that's what I love about it because, for me, when I got into magic, it was all about, healing myself and empowering myself. So when we work with her, it's all about your own power, which I believe, right? I believe everybody has their own power and that, we're usually oppressed until we open that path up. So, and that's what she's all about. So she wants to break that feeling of oppression and offer a spiritual path that is deeply personal and very transformative. So anytime we want to do transformation magic, she is one to call. So when we explore Aradia and when we connect to her, we actually gain a deeper understanding of our beliefs, right? As a person, and we practice from that world of witchcraft. So we can look at her as a historical figure. We can look at her as an archetype. She is a maiden goddess. So, we practice Maiden Mother Crone. She's known as a maiden goddess, but she is a source of inspiration for us. And whenever we practice full moon and we connect to the power of the moon, her presence comes. Her presence aligns to us and it invokes. So she does have that full moon power. And people believe she was the power of the full moon. So she will empower our lives as we celebrate the moon. Um, the other thing that I love about Aradia is that she is a goddess that most witches will actually connect to at some point along their journey into witchcraft. And there's a lot of different things about her, right? So, she survived in Italy, but we don't know where she ended up after she was arrested and free. But there's a lot of influential documents that reveal different things about her and how much she was misunderstood. But we see her as the power of the goddess because she is known to be the goddess Diana's daughter. So Aradia is described in witchcraft as the witch's messiah. And she was a savior that was sent to earth by the old gods to help, the people that were oppressed and the people that needed to be liberated from the Roman Catholic Church and also the Italian upper classes, right? She wanted to free people from enslavement. And in the full moon ceremony, in the charge of the goddess, right? We break ourselves free from slavery, whatever that slavery is in our life, right? It might not be a person, but it could be something that traps and binds us in our life. So anytime we're dealing with any type of oppression or we feel like our road is blocked, she is one that we want to call. And she also is all about turning darkness into light, right? So I like to look at her like she is, a messiah. She brings prophecy. We can work with her, ask questions, and she will prophesize and give us information that we need. And she will also bring us freedom, right? Her work, Aradia's witches, are all about seeking freedom, and we can seek freedom through her by invoking her and aligning to her energy. We can also acquire power, the power of witches, whatever it is that we're drawn to, whether that's herbs or crystals or whatever it is, all of it, right? She will bring us the power of witchcraft. I remember the first time I did magic and I invoked a being. It freaked me out, but I just cried because I felt like, oh my God, I reached the spirit world. So, connecting to the spirit world, she will definitely help us so that we can commune to the other side. Um, and the other thing is she has the personality of the goddess, right? So because she is leading people in their fight for freedom, we're shown a lot about nature and about personality, and the energies of nature. So that's what I love about it, is the nature aspect as well. She's also shown to show great empathy and compassion for those that feel disempowered. So if we feel like, oh, we all hit a time where we feel like, where's our power, or things go stagnant. I hate it when it's stagnant. I'll take the time and relax into it and see what comes. But if energy is stagnant and I don't feel that rise, then I will call upon her to empower me. Or if I need to reconnect to my own magic and my own personal power, she's the one to call. Also, many people believe that when we depart from this world, or when we have a need of anything, right? We say in the sacred circle, whenever we have need of anything, once in the month, and when the moon is full, we adore the mighty spirit of her mother Diana. And she is also the one that is invoked. Whenever we invoke Diana, we're also receiving the power of Aradia, because Aradia is the one that will travel into our realm, and she will help us be free from whatever slavery we're dealing with personally. She doesn't require a lot of devotion. It's naturally we connect to her whenever we tap into magic. She's there for us. Her goal is to help witches find their way back to the goddess. And she's not driven by ego at all or self importance. It's different. It's like natural and your natural gifts, which is what I love. Let me see. The other thing that I wanted to share is that the gospel that Leland created or channeled um, was actually connected to the goddess Diana's cult. And in 1486, there was a witch hunting manual that was produced, and it was called The Hammer of the Witches. And that's one of the reasons why Leland created, or not created, but channeled in this gospel of witches, was to help, so that the witches in the cult of Diana in Italy could identify the power of the goddess as well as the power of witchcraft. Um, so yeah, it's quite interesting. So there was a real fight, and this fight was actually a 413-year fight. I mean, I went on further because take a look at, modern witchcraft and the hanging of the witches, but it dates back to, 13 or 1486, right? 1313 is when there was a recognition that this stuff had to be hidden. Um, so yeah, all of this work and is really interesting. So I'm going to make sure you get the Aradia book, and you can look through it and enjoy that. The other thing that I love is with Diana and Aradia. They're known as universal goddesses. Yes, they were formed in Italy, but even today, there's a huge following in Italy. Italian magic is so sacred, and it's not so Christianized out there. There's lots of different countries that aren't fully um, fall into Christianity. So that's one thing that I love about the Italians, is that they do hold power and they do believe in the power of Aradia and the goddess. And the other thing is there has been known that witches have 13 powers. And this is also recognized in the book of Aradia, the gospel of the witches. There's some sacred texts. And the truth is that even though she's a universal goddess, and we can call upon her by any witch for any fulfillment of any magical desires. And that's one reason why the intention papers is so powerful, because as we write them, she actually comes and guides us other things, right, to put on our paper, especially when it comes to the things that we want to call in. So on the next full moon, put on your papers things that you want to call in for the next month, and then call in things that you're working on long term. And you'll be able to see how she communicates with you as you're putting the things you want to call in as well. But think about this month. Think about, the fulfillment of your magical desires as well as your gifts, right? The powers that you want to invoke, or your abilities that you want to, make stronger, because the gospel provides 13 examples and how to demonstrate this range of abilities. And it's awesome. So when we are working with her, it's important to remember that we don't have to feel limited. That as you connect to her, which we're going to do tonight, but as we connect to her, you'll learn to know when she comes about. Okay. And so don't feel limited, don't feel restricted. Go into connecting to Aradia and the full moon magic as um, almost like an experiment, right? Because she is the witch's goddess after all, and we can work in so many different aspects of the craft. And that's one of the reasons why she is a goddess that is easier to work with. She wants to train us, right? She wants us to be, connected to the power of love and to the power of protection. So the original Goddess Charge is known to be written by Doreen Valiente, and she was greatly influenced by the Aradia, the Gospel of Witches. And you'll see that when you see the original charge that's given from Aradia to the witches, it does include the working of the full moon. And that's one reason why the full moon ceremony that we do is, connected to such ancient magic. Okay. So you'll see when you check that out, just, how I put the full moon ceremony together is basically off that, but how I connected to her. So I would say, even though she was born in 1313, the witchcraft that what was a meeting site when they started to connect to witches in Italy, it was way before then, right? In the 1273, witches would gather to perform full moon ceremonies around a sacred walnut tree. And the witch trials in Italy started in 1428. And it also made witchcraft a lot more stronger and something to fight for. So within those, 200 years, 250 years actually, the culture really blew up, right? And there was even special ointments, right? The broom flying ointment was something that was created by that Gospel of Witches. Okay. Um, Let me see if I can think of. Yeah, so okay, the ointment I was talking about. So occasionally these witches would connect to the spirit world. That's where the riding on the broomstick came from, was from this ointment and from the old Italian wise ones, which is really neat. So let's go into, let me see. I want to do the consecration, and then we'll do her invocation. Okay. So when we connect to our power, we can connect to spirits on the other side. We can connect to learning more about witchcraft and our powers, the powers that we hold. So it's good to experiment in different things and to see, what your gifts are. And I know you as a high priestess, you have already kind of found the things that you like to practice. But some of you that are also doing the class, some of you may be more of a beginner. So it is good to always experiment and develop your skills, right? We'll always keep developing. I'm always learning new things about my abilities and how they work and that sort of thing. And it's sacred to us. So we can learn about our wisdom. We can learn about ancient wisdom. She brings us balance and harmony. She will make sure that we are acting in a place of love, but she also brings the fight, and I know that some of you know me personally, and I'm not much of a fighter, but I can't be, right? So, like, when her power comes upon us and we're dealing with injustice, you do feel like that beast, that shadow side of us will invoke, and it's powerful. Sometimes it can be uncontrollable, but we learn to also honor that. And what it is that comes out of us is divine, which is, pretty cool that we just talked about how you are connecting to the shadow side and being able to invoke that power and use it as your tool and understand what it is that that shadow side of us is trying to do or what it needs, right? Taming the beast, let's just say. She also teaches us how to trust nature and how to trust our guidance, because once we connect to her, we don't have to worry, if we're doing something wrong, because you're connecting to her power. Um, so I find that quite interesting. So let's go into first. We are going to do the lighting of the candle, which is sacred, and we're going to consecrate the water and the salt and create a sacred salt. And then we're going to blend the two and create a holy water. Now, depending on what type of water you're creating, I want you to use the holy water. You can use it in cooking. You can use it in a bath. I like to use it in a bath for the next full moon, or pour it over your head, or anoint yourself with it. But we're learning how to do that because it is magic of Aradia. So grab your candle. I'm just going to light my smudge again. It's like every time I do this, I have such traffic in front of my camper. It's like people know. But whatever. Okay. So I'm going to grab a candle. So grab your candle and just hold it in your left hand, of course. And repeat after me out loud or in your head. I light this candle in the name of the ancient presence, which is, was, and shall ever be, male, female, all knowing, all powerful, and present everywhere. And light it up. I'm using a tea light. The wind just blew it out. Okay. I'm lighting it up. Well, that's good. I needed some wind magic. And then watch your flame and repeat after me. Oh, the wind blew it out again. Oh my gosh. Okay. Closing the window. Third time is a charm. So just look at your flame and take note on if you see any orange or yellow. What color is the strongest color with your flame right now? Mine's orange and purple. I actually have a purple aura around it. Now watching the flame, and you can look for the goddess within the candle flame, like we did in fire magic. Repeat after me. And in the names of the four mighty ones, the rulers of the elements, may the power and blessing descend. Aradia, Aradia, Aradia. In this hour, upon my place, and those gathered in this place, or online, or inner circle. And just watch it, because when we do this consecration, even though it may seem simple, This gives us the power whenever we light our candles for magic. And of course, when you get the replay, you can do it by yourself if you want as well, or whenever you light your candles. So I'm going to put my candle aside, and I always look around to see if I can see that flame. You know, when you look at something for so long and you look around and you can see that flame, that's kind of how I know I've connected to that alpha state. Now we want to grab the water. And what I love is we can do this whenever we're cleansing a place. So if you need to cleanse a house or a business or people in a circle, you can do this. So grab some water. I always like to use spring water or well water or river water, you know, rainwater, whatever water you want to use. I'm using spring water right now. And put a cup of water into your hand. And I like to hold it with both hands. Now, before we begin, I want you to draw a pentacle over your cup. So right over the rim. And take note on how you drew it, because that will show your natural power right now, whether you're banishing or invoking. Now say after me, looking into your water. I exercise thee, O creature of water, that thou cast out from thee all the impurity and uncleanliness of the world. In the names of Cernunnos, Diana, and Aradia. And I blow into it 3 times. And saying that in a black bowl of water to scry is awesome. So if you want to do something fun, do that too. And I'm going to take a sip of it so that I am cleansed from the impurity. So just take a little sip. Okay. Now we want to take our salt. So I like to use salt in my rituals, and you can use salt for the element earth, right? But I actually like to exercise my salt in my salt shaker that I use for cooking. And then if I do use it, I can just use the shaker and do my circle. So that's something I like to do as well. So I'm going to grab my salt. Sea salt from home. You can't really find sea salt out here. I learned that last year. Okay. And put your salt into your left hand. Oh, that feels so good. And just connect to the power of the salt for a moment, whether it's in a shaker or just raw in your hand like me. And you should feel a little bit of weight, and you may feel it doing something to your palm, because this is our receiving hand. We want it purified and activated. And as you're holding it, repeat after me. Blessings be upon thee, O creature of salt. Let all energies and all hindrances be cast forth from thee, any blocks, and let all good enter within. And just feel it for a moment. And I'm just going to repeat that in my mind. Let all good enter within. Let all good enter within. And I'm just going to repeat that in my mind until I feel a change in the salt. Because we're opening up our ability Sometimes you'll feel power go right into your fingertips. And then repeat after me. Wherefore do I bless and consecrate thee, that thou mayest aid me in my works of magic and in the names of Cernunnos. I like to use Cernunnos because, the horned god just rules. And Diana and Aradia. And we're going to take a pinch of that water, or a pinch of your salt, and put it in the water. And I'm using my right hand. And if you have any salt that sticks to you, it's actually a good sign. Put it in the water. That means that power is magnified if you have salt that sticks to your left. Okay, so we're going to mix that water up, and I'm just going to put it over the flame, but not so that it burns your cup, but enough that you get some of that fire hitting the bottom. And we want to turn the cup, like move it around like this 3 times over your candle. 1, 2, 3. And when I do that, I can feel the heat of the candle hitting my fingertips. And that's how you know you've cast the circle. Now that we did the circle, you want to put your hand, the water, into your right hand. And repeat after me. But ever mind that as water and salt purifies the body, so that it purifies the soul, so mote it be. And put your water down. And then we're going to cast a circle around us now. So look at your candle and have your water close to your candle. Take note on how the energy of your room feels. And as you're looking at the candle, imagine casting the circle, whether it's just around you, which I'm going to do, just around me in here. And I like to open my hands up to the power. And repeat after me. I conjure thee, O circle of power, that thou is now a boundary between the world of men and the realms of the mighty ones, a meeting place of love and joy and truth, a shield against all wickedness and evil, a protection that shall preserve and contain the power that we raise within thee. Therefore, I do bless thee and consecrate thee in the names of Cernunnos and Diana and Aradia. Now lords of the watchtowers of the east, the lords of air, I do summon. I call you up to witness our rights and guard the circle. And that's any circle that you participate in. Okay? That power will come when we call the earth, the air, the air in the east. Lords of the watchtower of the south, lords of fire, and look at your candle. I do summon, stir, and call you up to witness our rights and guard the circle. And of course, that's guarding the circle that you're involved in, anyone that is in our circle. And let's go to the west. So look at your holy water. Lords of the watchtowers of the west, lords of water, lords of death and initiation, I do summon, stir, and call you up to witness our rights and guard the circle. And the north, the salt. So if you still have salt, make sure you look at your salt. Lords of the watchtower of the north, lords of the earth, guardian of the northern portals, I do summon, stir, and call you up to witness our rights and guard the circle. Mighty ones, lords of the watchtowers of the universe, dread lords of the outer space, powerful gods and gentle goddess, we invite you to this meeting. Loving Diana, loving Aradia, and mighty Cernunnos, we stand before you. So mote it be. So now I want to do more invocation. So this water we can use, I'm going to leave it to purify on Invoke. We did this ceremony, we did the ritual. The next morning, as we were sleeping, we woke up to something turning on the heater. And to me, that was a sign that Bridget came because she is the goddess of the hearth. We're like, yes! So that was pretty cool. So let's go into another invocation where we're focusing on our circle is now cast with her. So as before, we know that she's the daughter goddess Diana, and she is known as the queen of witches. And she's the goddess who provides guidance and to support witches all over. And her teachings are all about helping us find our way into the magical world. And as a powerful witch, she can help us too. So we want to focus on what it is that we want wisdom for, or our ability, our gifts to heal, our ability to heal ourselves and others. So first, the way to say her name magically, you will want to chant. And it is there's four symbols. Aradia. And Ray is what you want to bring out. Aradia. Aradia is the proper way to call her presence. So practice saying that through this month, and be open to how she comes. How do you feel when you call her presence? And that's the one thing we want to focus on. So we want to learn how to commune with the spirits. In her gospel, the witches are portrayed as beings who are able to commune with the spirits of the earth and the spirits of the sky. And they're also believed to be able to cast spells and perform other rituals. And even though this is not accepted by Christianity, of course, right? They tried to kill her and ban her work and her important texts. They still study her work. And people believe that the Gospel of the Witches provides a unique perspective on the practice of witchcraft. And it is because they, even the Roman Catholic Church, right? They banned the mention of the Gospel of Witches. And this is because they knew Aradia is a goddess that tried to overthrow the church, right? She didn't believe in it. She wanted it to stop. She was the rebellion against the church. So they can't admit any of her because it goes against their theology, right? But connecting to her power will allow us to tap into powerful magic and spells that can help us achieve our goals and desires. And the power of the goddess is all about desire. It's past the need, it's into the desire, which I know many of you hear me talk about all the time. If you need something, go past that need and into the desire. You need 5,000, go for 15, right? So always go past the need into the desire, and you will connect to the divine feminine. But she is known for prophecy and visions. So a lot of times when we first work with her, she will come to us in a dream and create that psychic link. Just like when people that we love cross over, the first thing that usually happens is we'll have a dream about them, and that's letting us know they're now in the spirit world and we have this psychic connection. So connecting to her power will allow us to tap into powerful magic, the ways and the things that we need to do. She'll guide us if we need to carry a certain stone or perform a ritual or connect to a different god or goddess or whatever it is. But like I said, she wants to bring us prophecy. She wants to bring us visions. We can invoke her through prayer, right? If we need to pray for something, guidance, or something to happen, some kind of breakthrough, we can invoke her. Just call her name 3 times, like a genie, 3 times, and she will come to you, right? Meditation, she will come with a vision. If you meditate, say her name and go into a meditation, ask for guidance or see what it is that she'll bring to you, as well as doing our full moon ceremonies. So she is known as a moon goddess, and the moon is her symbol and her power. So we can invoke her when we do that ceremony. And that's one reason why we want to open ourselves up to the power of the goddess. It's her, Diana, Aradia, and Hecate or Demeter, whatever it is that we connect to. So just like all the gods and goddesses, going into an alpha state and saying her name 3 times or chanting it will bring her to you. And so I want to share with you a ritual. On the goddess page, I put on that page the rose cross. So I want you to look at that rose cross. And if you could do this during the full moon, which is on the 12th, that would be amazing. Because you would definitely, I'm going to do the ritual now with you, but it would definitely help. So, Aradia's symbols are the chalice. That's one reason why we use the chalice. The pentacle is her symbol. And if you take a look at the rose cross, you'll see that there is a pentacle inside of it. As well as roses. So when we burn roses or wear rose or smell rose, that is also her symbol. And the rose cross, to many, we can use to invoke her as well, just by looking at it. So on the next full moon, if you can look at the symbol or print it off and hold it in your heart, is how the witches used to do it or do it. They hold it, the symbol, to her heart. And I put the symbol in, not facing out, but into me. So next full moon, have your chalice, have a pentacle, and of course a candle, but also have her rose cross. Okay. And you want to take a few breaths. You want to hold that cross to your heart or look at it and feel it come to you. Clear your mind. So I always focus on the symbol, her sacred symbol, and then in a full voice. And you can repeat after me right now, because we're going to call her now. And then if you can do this during the full moon. And I'm putting my hand on my heart to symbolize that cross. You can even do it like a cross if you want. Repeat after me. I call to thee, Aradia, from full moon. Bring your power to help attune. I hold this power with gifts from above, invoked and true. Protect and enhance. I worship thee. Teach me of magic, wide as the sea. And then during the full moon, you'll want to sit under the moon and bring that symbol to your heart. Close your eyes and wait for a sign that the invocation has worked. And when we invoke her, you will get, and it's usually a warm feeling. So if you can feel warmth tonight, you have invoked her. And if you can do that at the full moon, during the full moon, and feel that warmth, then you've invoked her with that moon power. And usually that warm feeling is a symbol of love. It's her bringing you not only connection, but a loving connection. And sometimes it can be overwhelming. Every now and then, whenever I just need to feel reconnected to the power of witchcraft, I'll do this. And sometimes I'll just start crying for no reason. And that's, her saying, you got to let go. And that's how you've invoked Aradia. So it's quite simple, but it's very powerful. And the symbol that I showed you, or that I posted on our goddess page, it's actually quite an old symbol. But what's interesting is the Rosicrucians. I don't know if you've heard of the Rosicrucians, but it is a brotherhood. Anyway, they use Aradia's rose cross, and it's one of their 12 sacred symbols. And to them, just like the Italian wise ones, it represents unity and transformation. And it unites the material and the spiritual world together. And the cross represents our physical experience, while the blooming roses that you see symbolize the unfolding of the spiritual wisdom. So when we burn rose and we rose petals, maybe dry roses that you have, I always keep dry roses on me. I even have a whole bunch hanging in my camper, just so that I have that connection to her, because she is such a sacred goddess to me. And her and Hecate are the goddesses not only of witches, but of those who have experienced abuse. We've all experienced some kind of abuse. So if we are, a survivor of abuse, she is an amazing goddess to connect with. So the rose represents the unfolding of spiritual wisdom. So anytime I need more juice and more spiritual wisdom, what am I supposed to learn, right? I will burn rose in my cauldron. Or I can have a rose bath, or, however, rose spray, anything rose will connect. So that spiritual wisdom would come within 3 days. So anytime we invoke the goddess, the great goddess, which is all femininity, or a specific goddess like Aradia that we're working with, we always receive our teaching within 3 days. So you want to pay attention for 3 days. And the symbol teaches us that knowledge transforms us. Her teaching, and this symbol, her rose cross, is all about teaching and learning the knowledge that transforms us, and blending the challenges of our earthly life with the pursuit of spiritual growth. So the rose cross reminds us that through personal sacrifice and dedication, we rise above our limitations and move closer to enlightenment. And sometimes that enlightenment is, information on how to get past it, right? And usually, whenever I deal with a block, I will invoke some kind of energy. I don't really let myself go into any blocks for too long. As soon as I recognize that there's a block, whether it's a person, a situation, or whatever, I invoke some kind of energy, because I believe that's the call, right? When I receive any negative energy, that's a call. So challenges to me are always about getting the guidance that I need to get past it, however it is, or how to deal with it. Now, I wanted to discuss the chalice. The chalice that we use in magic is about symbolizing the soul's readiness to receive higher wisdom. So, like a cup is waiting to be filled, we must open ourselves to divine truth. And the chalice is a symbol that urges our openness as well as our humility, right? So that we can grow. And it's about that spiritual growth. So the chalice reflects the heart's ability to hold divine nourishment, and to remind us that we must remain receptive to knowledge. And this is something that Aradia would teach to the wise ones. And the chalice's message is simple yet profound: stay humble, prepare to receive, and recognize that spiritual wisdom flows from something greater than ourselves. That gave me goosebumps. So before we're almost done here. So I want to do one last invocation. So I want you to take the holy water we just made, grab your blessing fingers with your right hand. And she, Aradia, is also a goddess that wears the crescent moon upon her brow. So put a crescent moon right on your third eye. And close your eyes and open your hands up and repeat after me. Beautiful Aradia, Queen of the Witches, guide me with your wisdom and protect me with your might. Grant me the strength to walk my path with courage and confidence. May your ancient power flow through me as I honor the old ways and embrace the mysteries of the universe. Aradia, Aradia, you with the moon in your step, you with the moon in your feet, power in the sky, covered in starlight. Grant me this favor, beautiful spirit. Altar of Diana, and just look at your holy water, salt, and candle. Altar of Diana, daughter of the moon, I will walk in your moon steps. I will dance. I will leap I will eat. I will drink. I will learn your mother's craft, the witch's craft, the crafty knowledge. I drink as you drink, the drink of wisdom from your mother's power, pure spirit, mortal spirit, woman and goddess both. Walk in my circle. Aradia, beautiful Aradia, so mote it be. And just take note to see if you experience any warmth.
So I have a question. The name that you
Cernunnos.
Cernunnos. Cernunnos? Who is that?
So Cernunnos is actually an Irish god,
Okay.
but it's the one that I connect with most. So he's half man and half beast. So he's almost like Pan. And the reason why I work with him mostly as a god is because he's come to me in my magic.
Okay.
And I love him. So he is so yeah, he's a Celtic god, and he represents the power of nature. And he's known as the god of transformation. He's who brings our protection, because he's half animal, half man, brings our protection. Whenever we do the full moon, we ask for our instincts to be purified. Sometimes we get distracted. So our instincts will align with the power of our higher self. The Romans also used him. So Romania magic will use Cernunnos. But yeah, he's believed to be equal to the great goddess. So there's the great god and the great goddess. And whenever you experience the great, okay, god and goddess, it represents all of the masculine energy in the world, or all of the feminine energy in the world. Where if we just use one god or one goddess, we'll call upon that one god. So whenever you hear the great, it represents all of those energies, all of the divine in nature. And one of the other reasons why I like Cernunnos so much is because he is a god of the beasts and the wild places. And as I said, known as a horned one, which is a mediator of man and nature, right? And he's the one that will also tame our beast side, or our our shadow aspect, right? So god of nature, as well as connected to the elemental beings, right? Which I love about Diana is, many people see her as a fairy goddess because she's so connected to the elements. And that's another reason why I like to work with Cernunnos.
Okay. So you asked me a question at the start if I had any symbols, and I remembered something that had happened this week. So behind me, anytime I'm on the camera, behind me is like 3 circles, huge white circles behind me. It's happened probably for the last month, probably once to twice a week.
That is the power of the triple goddess.
Yes. So just thought I thought
I love that.
Bring that forward. I think I just have so much happen during Georgina that it's hard to remember everything.
No, of course, but that's amazing.
Yeah.
Right? Because it does represent, and the triple goddess not only just represents, the moon phases, it also represents the other worlds. So you're connecting, which is also why you say you're practicing and experiencing shadow work right now. Well, middle, under, and upper worlds are all in play, which represent the 3 circle casts as well. So I can see how it's all intertwined with you right now, right? And while you're working with your shadow side, bring that into your middle world, right?
Okay.
Because something wants to come out. And this is a time where we are developing new skills. And that's why I wanted to get into Aradia this month, is because we are meant to develop new skills, and those skills come this month, right?
Okay.
Which
Right.
is awesome. So what is it that she's calling you to practice or do or teach?
That's true.
Right?
Right.
'Cause I really feel, some kind of workshop is a craft for you right now.
Mm. Well, and I do them. So yeah, so absolutely. Actually, I'm putting one together. So very cool. Very
Oh,
cool.
I love it. It gave me goosebumps. So let's open our circle. And then again, as we open it, see if you can feel the release of energy, which sometimes brings us a chill, or you just know the energy's been released. But have fun working with Aradia, and yeah, do some magic this month, right? You can just call, like when you experience something that's difficult, call her name mentally 3 times while you're dealing with that difficulty and see what happens.
Okay.
Okay. So the circle is open but never unbroken. Merry we meet, merry we part, until we meet again with love in our hearts. So mote it be. Seal it with a kiss and stomp your feet.
Yes.
I'll put the replay up, and I'll post a couple of things like those invocations that we did, so you have it in writing. And yeah, let yourself rise this year in power, even though you already have, but keep rising.
A little bit more, a little bit more. Listen, my friend, you have a fabulous week and a fabulous month, and I'm sure I'll see all the wonderful things you'll do.
We're definitely going to have to do a nice get together when I'm back.
I can't wait.
I'm missing my people.
Can't wait. But
Okay.
you get the desert heat.
Yeah.
Bye.
Bye-bye.